Hey, it's Jessica Gardner from the Ace Ride With Us podcast, and I am here on IAAPA Expo Day 4 in the Gravity Group booth with Michael Graham, founder, engineer, principal of the Gravity Group. Michael, tell us about how your IAAPA Expo has been.
It's been a good show. It's been a lot of traffic, and obviously the centerpiece here is the Red Dragon.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about this.
So this was a concept we came up with actually about 10 years ago. It's just a concept. It's not going to a park this next year. That's the first question everybody asks. So we wanted to, this was actually when we were doing a lot of rides in China, kind of in a former chapter pre-COVID and everything. And we know they love dragons. And we're like, okay, let's sculpt this dragon. We gave some sketches. We got this whole thing crafted. And they're like, I don't know, I guess they didn't seem interested. We thought the Chinese like dragons, but I think they like their own flavor style of dragon. So I think they were put off by the Western fantasy style of dragon. They're looking for more like the parade dragon or something like that. But I have no idea.
Yeah.
We think it's cool, and we thought we'd bring it back this year.
It's a stunner. Yeah. Of course, last year in the booth we had the Bobcat.
Yes.
Let's talk. Actually, before we get into that, just for anybody out there who's watching who's not super familiar with the Gravity Group the way that most of us are, just tell us a little bit about the background of Gravity.
Okay. So the Gravity Group has its history back at Custom Coasters. Custom Coasters lasted from 1992 to 2002. In 2002, it was a rough time at Custom Coasters. The company went bankrupt. We were all on the street trying to figure out what's next. And the engineering team is Chad Miller, Corey Kiepert, Larry Bill, and myself. We were the 4 engineers, and we like what we do. Let's continue this. So we started an engineering firm. We called it the Gravity Group, and 22 years later, going from 4 people, now we're at about 25 people year-round at our facility in Cincinnati. We also have 2 to 3 field crews, up to about 40 seasonal employees as well. So yeah, we build your whole coaster for you. So it used to be an engineering firm, and now it's a full turnkey supplier.
And I want to thank all of Gravity Group for coming and speaking to the American coaster enthusiasts at our spring conference this year at Kings Island. What an amazing presentation that was. But let's talk about this year, this past year, starting with Bobcat, of course, which was the car that was in your booth at IAAPA Expo 2023.
Yeah, so Bobcat, Six Flags Great Escape up in upstate New York. So if you haven't been on it, just go ahead and plan your trip. Just go. You will enjoy it. It's a really special park, and it created this really cool, lively centerpiece for the park. It just kind of uplifted the entire area. It had an intimate bobsled, that got retired, which is sad. However, it was a very much a maintenance nightmare and a capacity challenge, and so it really refreshed the whole thing. The park loves it. It was fantastic. Everything about it we just love. So it runs 2 trains. It's got the Bobcats on the front of the trains, and then also this is the first roller coaster that we've had from the ground up be a 100% engineered Precut Track. So engineered Precut Track is pretty awesome. I'm going to touch about a lot of the popularity in a second, but this is also the first roller coaster that we've done where every piece of the structure was also prefabricated. So it's precision crafted, right off the machine, no guesswork. It's just really a really precise ride, and it really gives a great ride too. If you don't like airtime, you don't like speed, you don't like out of control thrills, don't ride it, because it has all of those in spades.
I definitely like all of those things. You just named all my favorite things.
So therefore, you need to go ride it.
I definitely need to go ride it.
Yes, that's the logic path there.
Yeah. So you were talking about the Precut Track. This is a fan question. Somebody heard I was about to have an interview with the Gravity Group, and they said, ask about the glue.
It's the glue, I
was like, okay, so Michael, tell me about the polymer glue that's special or something?
I will tell you about this. I will tell you all about this.
I got you, friends at home. I got you.
So traditionally, roller coasters have been laid with track that's horizontal. So basically you have structure, and you take an individual layer and you bend it over to make the up and down hills. And then that's also often used in the curves. So you have the curve is actually cut, the shape is cut, of the track, and that's what you ride on after the wheels
okay.
That can be demonstrated right down there underneath the Dragon. You can see some horizontal track. So in the twisting areas and in the sharp turns, we use a horizontal track. Now, if we look at individual pieces of wood, if those are joined together, it increases the strength dramatically. So why is strength important? If you look at some really cool geeky videos of wood coaster track, it'll often sag right between valleys, and you often, that's what you feel. So that's the washboarding that you feel is the shape of the track is not perfect through those valleys. And so what we can do is the more layers you have that are solidly joined together, in this case, what we use is Gravity Goop, G-O-O-P, not G-R-O-U-P. So Gravity Goop is that glue that holds the world together. No, it does. It's really a really specific, intriguing adhesive. But that makes the track about 8 times stronger than without it. So it's definitely something that's really worth it. It is a little expensive, but your track lasts significantly longer because it's so much stronger. So,
and is it a smoother ride in general?
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
That would make sense.
Yep.
Wow, I'm glad I asked.
So, but not only that, I feel like one of those, the
infomercial,
yeah. Oh wait, there's more. What really helps for engineer pre-cut track is not just those horizontal pieces. Those are pre-cut on a machine, so there's no, typically any type of curve is cut with a circular saw by hand. And they have got really cool tools to make it as smooth as possible, but you're still cutting something by hand, and it's not very precise. On this, we cut it on a machine. It's computer controlled. It's it's almost like within a hair of where it should be. So it's just perfectly shaped, and that's just for the horizontal track. But not only just for the horizontal track, because we can also look at in the areas where there's just up and down, that's where the pre-cut really shines. Because instead of having your boards horizontally, if you have them vertically, just like a joist in a house or a deck or something like that, it's no longer a diving board, but it's very rigid. And so you end up with something that's 20 times stronger and also 20 times less motion.
It just makes sense.
It does.
At SpringCon, they had brought out some samples that allowed people to walk on them to even just see the difference on them. It's so funny. No one thought of that before?
Well, they did. 100 years ago, probably about 100 years ago, in some of the turns, like your classic roller coaster turns, they had high flat turns. And what they did is they had their vertical boards.
Right, okay.
But it's a really boring ride if it's just flat. You're talking about just a really boring ride. So you have to have the up and down. And they didn't have any type of way to cut that shape into those vertical layers. And that's where we put all this stuff together to create the patent pending engineered pre-cut track. And so instead of relying on your structure to bend your track over, you define your shape and your track, and your structure goes up to it. So if you're in those valleys, you don't feel that washboarding at all. It's just gone. But it also doesn't feel like a steel coaster in a negative way. It's not like too smooth. It's just like the perfect smoothness. It just feels like a brand new ride.
That's
forever,
cool.
or for how long the track lasts environmentally.
That's so cool. I love that. Ingenuity.
Yep.
And engineering.
So not only does it sound pretty cool, but the last 2 years, I think the last 3 years, we've done 9 to 10 upgrades of existing wooden roller coasters with that. So when we came out with it, we were honored by ACE for preservation of wooden roller coasters. And that's exactly why it's extremely popular. Last year we did 9 upgrades plus Bobcat. And that requires a lot of people, and requires a lot of facilities.
Yeah.
And that leads us into the next chapter of this interview is we have a really big news, and that is we have been renting for a few different, since the beginning of Gravity Group. Actually, I take that back. When we started the Gravity Group, it was just the 4 engineers, and we worked from home before it was cool. We had to work from home because we had to. So now working from home is cool. Yeah, we have some remote flexibility, and some of our workers too. But so we've been renting, And more recently, in the last year, we bought our own building.
Congratulations.
And so, yeah, it's huge. It's awesome.
Where's
well,
that?
the building's not huge, but it's a good size.
Still in Cincinnati?
Yeah, Cincinnati. It's 2 miles north of where we were.
Oh, wow.
So we didn't have to relocate anybody or anything, but the material flow, the offices, everything has just been a huge upgrade for us. So much easier to do our work. And we're not the terrible neighbors that we were when we had the old place. We were the bad neighbors. Like we had lumber outside in our parking lot, and they're blocking their cars, and you know it was a little rough.
Yeah, but you know, you're creating masterpieces.
We think it's cool, but you know, if you can't get to your car because there's this big pile of lumber in the way.
I could see that could be a problem.
Yeah, they're like, hey, can you move your stuff? Yeah.
It's a renter, for sure.
So our landlords weren't exactly happy. Their neighbors weren't exactly happy, except when they left. They're like, oh, we'll miss you. It's like,
okay.
I don't know about that. So yeah, we have a wonderful lumber yard out back now, and everything is really easy to make a lot of pre-cut track.
All right, so then that brings me to what's the plan for Gravity Group in the future?
So there's all kinds of cool stuff, none of which I can talk about.
Aww.
But what I can say is that the engineer pre-cut track popularity only creates more demand for it. So I see us as another record year of engineer pre-cut track upgrades, and if there's new rides that appear coming in the future, we'll get to talk about those then. And so we always have to wait for the parks to announce things.
Of course.
And that's just how we have to have it, because they would be very unhappy if we announce something for them.
Yeah.
And we might no longer be doing that ride for them.
Understand. We understand, and we want you to be safe, of course. Yep. We did talk about this a little bit earlier, but I'd love to talk about it in our extended interview here as well, that we were walking by the booth and we saw that Gravity Group is helping ZDT's amusement park sell Switchback. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Danny Donhauser and his wife Sarah and their family are looking to retire. And so they're looking for a new home for Switchback, looking for a good home for this special piece.
Yeah.
And
which of course was made by Gravity.
Yeah, yes. We produced the ride in 2015, and it is still the world's only wooden shuttle coaster. Only one in the entire world. It also has the record of the steepest drop on a wooden roller coaster at 87 degrees, and that's on the spike. The spike is nearly vertical. So, so yeah, it's a really special ride, and wherever its Forever Home does happen, we've been talking about engineering pre-cut track, so naturally we would be helping the park, and and we would be putting engineering pre-cut track on this new ride, which would be even better than the original.
Right.
So it's a great bargain. The question is, how do you get a hold of this ride? And that'd be contacting Danny Donhauser. You can do it through their social media, or you can just do it through us, and we can put him in touch.
That's amazing.
So he's looking for, this is a really special ride to him, and he's looking for a good home.
A special ride, a record-breaking ride, own a little bit of piece of ZDT's history there too.
Yeah.
And an awesome piece, and that Gravity will be involved every step of the way. I mean, it sounds like a good deal.
Yeah.
As a coaster enthusiast, we want this coaster to survive for sure. So.
It's also a very tiny footprint, which is usually really good to fit it in a park.
See, it just keeps getting better. The scale keeps getting better.
There you go.
Well, I appreciate everything. I just want to say on behalf of the American Coaster Enthusiasts, thank you so much for all of our relationship that we have, that you have, and everything you all have brought to ACE. And of course, your preservation efforts are continually appreciated, and keep making great stuff, and we'll keep helping you promote it. And I hope this friendship keeps going. So, Michael,
I don't see it getting any worse. No, just kidding. No, we've appreciated ACE, from the get-go. Plenty of us were coaster enthusiasts and ACE members even before we were at Custom Coasters or in the industry. So it's been a great relationship. I've had great memories, at ACE events all through my entire life since back to high school. So, so ACE is at a really special place.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michael, for taking the time to talk to us today.